welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from Puerto Rican friends coming together to deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. These are our Bad Batch Fridays. Don't judge us, we're not creative, where we talk about every single episode of the third and final season of The Bad Batch. Today, discussing the double gut punch that was the episodes released this week. 10 and 11, Identity Crisis and Point of No Return. Yeah, those are not ominous titles. But before we get into that, we would very much like to welcome to the podcast our guest for today, fellow Puerto Rican Pao, a.k.a. the Padalorian. Welcome to the Triad. We're so happy to have you.
Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Seriously, it's such an honor, and I'm so excited, at the same time very heartbroken to unpack what we watched last night, because that was intense.
Oh yeah.
No, thank you for joining us. One of those things where we love these episode reviews that we do because it gives us an opportunity to talk about it with other awesome people from the internet, other content creators, other friends, and get other points of view and like do what we like to do at Triad of the Force, which is kind of find like voices that that need to be elevated, and like Hispanic women, POC, all these other voices that are very underrepresented in the podcasting community and the Star Wars community as a whole. So it's always awesome to not only do that, but do new voices. We always like to have friends come back, but it's always even more fun to have like new friends come and join us. So thank you so much for joining us and completing like our Puerto Rican triad today.
Triad.
I didn't even think about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So before we get going, this is your first episode here with Triad first, but definitely not the last. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and like the people listening about what you do, your social media presence, how you engage with Star Wars, like all that stuff, how how your Puerto Rican identity like plays into fandom, all the good stuff. Tell us a little bit about it.
Absolutely. So, as you can tell by our conversations, I was born in Puerto Rico, Maya, West Puerto Rico, but I grew up here in America pretty much all my life. So my introduction to Star Wars was actually through my dad. I grew up watching the movies because of him. He grew up watching the original trilogy. So I feel like that's pretty much like the majority of everyone's story, is that they had a parent or some sort of family member that introduced them to Star Wars. And I would say, like, I was definitely a big fan, but nowhere near to the fan that I am now.
Yeah.
And so and I think what ended up happening was, when the sequel trilogy was coming out in theaters, I was really excited about them. I was I was kind of like in for the ride, and then it ended, and I really was kind of disappointed with the direction it took. And so that kind of took away my love of Star Wars in a sense, which is kind of sad to say. But I mean, that's just how it was for me. And then The Mandalorian came out. And that was such a game changer. I feel like not just for me, but so many other Star Wars fans, both, the super obsessed ones, and then even the casual viewers. I thought it really brought, it really brought everyone together. And so that really piqued my interest into Star Wars again. And it was actually the catalyst for, me watching Star Wars animation, because I didn't grow up watching Star Wars animation. And I have to give a big shout out to my husband, because he was the one who wanted me to watch it. And I didn't. And I was like, oh, it's just a kid's show. I don't.
Shout out to the husbandos.
Yeah, and hey, guess what? Today's his birthday, so
hey,
big shout out to
happy
Mike.
birthday, husbando.
Yeah, he was kind enough to let me spend the night with you guys. So, no, but yeah, honestly, if it wasn't for my husband Mike, I don't know if I would have watched the animated series when I did, but I'm really glad that I ended up watching Clone Wars and Rebels, because it truly it rejuvenated my love for Star Wars in ways that I just can't put into words. Like, it's so much more than just, a kid's show. It's so much more than, like obviously we grew up watching Anakin and Obi-Wan on screen, but when you
Mhm.
follow along new characters like Ahsoka and Captain
Yeah.
Rex, and then like with Rebels, the Ghost Crew, like I
Oh,
just fell in love with these
yeah.
characters and became so invested in them that it really drove me to want to find a community to talk about the things I became passionate about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And because Star Wars, yes, it's a big fan base, but at the same time it can be very niche. Like it's really hard to find people in your circle that are as passionate about you with something like Star Wars. So I ended up stumbling along on this online community on Instagram of Funko Pop collectors, because I started
Mhm.
becoming into collecting Funko Pops, and following my friends' accounts. And like they weren't friends then, but like now they're actually like my online friends that I've been able to cultivate over time. Like it really inspired me to create my own fandom account, which is the Padalorian. That is how I
Mhm.
created the Padalorian. And for those of you who are wondering, the Padalorian is a mashup of two words, Padawan and Mandalorian, because those are two
Mhm.
aspects
Mhm.
of Star Wars that really spoke to me the most at the time.
Right.
And so I just put the two names together, and thus the Padalorian was born.
It
And
works.
yeah, and now
Yeah.
like I just use my little corner of the internet, as I call, to you
Mhm.
know post about my collections, talk about books, talk about Star Wars media of any kind, and just welcome fans of all kinds, because like the Star Wars fan base can be toxic at times,
Mhm.
sadly. And
Mhm.
so I
Yeah.
want to be sure that I provide a space where fans of whether it's movies, whether it's the books, whether it's comics, whether it's Lego, it doesn't matter. I want to be able
Yeah.
to inspire people to not be ashamed of what they love, but at the
Mhm.
same
Mhm.
time just respect people, um even if like our opinions might be different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so and because of that, I discovered people like you guys, and I just love like how no matter what facet I stumble across, I end up discovering more and more Star Wars fans that
Mhm.
I just I want to be friends with. And thankfully we have this opportunity right now to make that happen.
And
Awesome.
yeah,
Love
and
it.
with Acolyte
Hmm.
around the corner, there's gonna be even more friends because High Republic is another, corner of the Star Wars fandom that's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
blossoming, and it's a completely new thing. So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of space for friends, and something that we're definitely fond of.
Yeah.
I hope to read my first High Republic book soon. I haven't gotten into High Republic,
They're
but
good.
yeah, well, I'm new to all lots of areas of Star Wars, and Star Wars books being one of them. And so I
Yeah.
just finished reading Dark Disciple because of the Bad Batch.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's like a podcast episode in itself. But yeah, High Republic is one that
Oh
I
yeah,
hope to jump
definitely.
into very soon, right before Acolyte starts. So yeah.
That's gonna be a fun
But
ride.
talking about Star Wars animation,
Hmm.
Hmm.
that trailer that dropped today.
Yeah, it was kind of like it was a little bait and switch from Lucasfilm's part because they started the morning with here's the Empire magazine covers for the Acolyte, and everyone on the internet is just like going crazy about the Acolyte, and all of a sudden it's like
Like, oh
actually
wait,
it's
there's
like they
more.
exactly they did a Steve Jobs there like presenting an iPhone. So it's like wait, one more thing, and
Mhm.
then boom. And at first, because I was at work, I didn't realize what it was. I just saw Clone Wars style of animation. It's like, oh, that's just the recap or something from yesterday's episode. So no need to rush. But then my phone starts blowing up, and I'm like, oh no, this is something. This is something else.
Mhm.
And oh, holy crap!
Yeah.
Not Tales of the Jedi,
No, which I
Tales
thought
of
I was
the
like
Empire,
season two of Tales of the Jedi. No, no,
Tales
burn
of the
off the
Empire
title.
with Morgan
Yeah.
Elsbeth and who a character that everyone has been wondering about for the last 10 years. Barris Offee is
Yes.
finally back. Nani, you as our resident non-trailer watcher, although apparently now we have two non-trailer watchers here. I'm curious to know how both of you reacted to this surprise treat exactly a month before May the
Yeah.
4th. So Nani,
Yeah.
let's start with you. Like, how did I know I texted it to you, but you only saw
Yeah.
it like maybe like an hour or two ago?
Less. So when you texted it to me, I just kind of saw the cover of it. I didn't even read it because
Mm,
I was in the middle of class, and I was like, "Oh, so this is season two of Tales of the Jedi. Cool." Um, And then actually, it was as soon as I got back that my husband, who is the one that got me into Star Wars animation too, because I like refused to watch it because I was like, it is super childish. I don't like the
Mhm.
animation style. He'd been trying to get me for years to watch it. When they finally came out with season 7, it's like, come on, let's just watch it from the beginning. Join me. Let's do this. I was like, I don't care. And then I was forced to by my Triad members here because like we're doing a podcast, we have to talk about animation, so you're gonna have to watch it, and
Mhm.
then we're gonna talk about it as
Yeah.
you watch it, so we get your reactions to it. So as soon as I got home, Josbando was waiting like, you have to watch this trailer. We have to watch this trailer now. Okay, it's Tales of the Empire. And I was like, wait, what?
Oh yeah. Oh
What'd
yeah.
you say? What'd you say? And then it's so beautiful how it shows you Tales of the Jedi and it burns away.
Which
And
they keep doing that because they did it with Clone Wars to
I
Bad
don't
Batch,
care.
but it still
I don't
works.
care.
It
It
works.
works. It's beautiful.
If it's not broken,
And then,
don't fix it.
as we keep saying, and as we keep saying in the Bad Batch specifically, the animation keeps getting more gorgeous,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it
Yes.
it looks insane. And then combined with that Acolyte trailer that we just got, I love it when Star Wars goes dark. So to have this kind of like back to back insanity, and then these two characters that are very compelling, that there's
Mhm.
a lot about them that we didn't know. We didn't know what happened in Elspeth's past, and we didn't know what happened then in the future for Barris. And then this just, aside from the fact that it was gorgeous,
Mhm.
um, and it leaves you in so much suspense, but the fact that it's the person that, betrayed Ahsoka
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
ends up being an apprentice to Darth Vader is just like, what are the ironies of the world? And I
Mhm.
can't
Mhm.
wait
Mhm.
how they do this, because I know there's shorts, but from Tales of the Jedi, we know that those episodes pack a huge punch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now with just like these two characters to explore, I think it's gonna be an amazing ride.
Oh yeah. And one of my favorite characters is my boy in blue Thrawn. And when we got that little
Hmm.
snippet of him showing up, and he was like, "Okay,
Yeah, I'm sold.
this could be about a Stinky from the Clone Wars, but if Thrawn's in it, I'm
I'm in.
100% on the hype train." But yeah, Pao, what did you think? As also being a resident non-trailer watcher,
Yeah,
Sorry, we
and
kind of forced you to then.
no,
we mind tricked you without having to mind trick you to do it.
in this case, I'm very happy to have seen it because, oh my goodness, this
Right?
thing, like, I think it was, like, just 2 minutes long, but it felt like an eternity because
Right,
they
right, right.
packed in so much for, what we're gonna see in Morgan Elsbeth's story, as well as Barriss' story, and it's, like, interesting to see, like, how similar it was to the format of Tales of the Jedi with
Mhm,
Ahsoka and Count Dooku, where
Yeah.
we got to see a little bit of, like, the before part of Count Dooku, and with Ahsoka, we saw, like, the after part, and then
mhm.
here we're kinda
Yeah.
switching it up, but with, like, the Empire side of things,
Right.
and because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us were thinking that, if there was gonna be a Tales of the Jedi season 2, it was gonna be about more Jedi,
Mhm,
but in
mhm.
this
Right.
case, they're gonna turn it completely dark, and I was not expecting that at all. There were moments in the trailer that totally took my breath away. I also had questions because we saw
So
General
many.
Grievous. Like,
Hell yeah.
why is
Yeah.
General Grievous
Yeah.
there? Like, where exactly does this fall in the timeline? Obviously, we saw flashbacks of the massacre with the Night Sisters. Like,
Mhm.
oh, it's just heartbreaking. And the thing is, these are two compelling characters that
Yeah.
have gone through a lot from what we've seen in their previous shows, but the fact that there's just more to be told, I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
all for it. I know I'm about to be emotionally damaged like always, but
Oh
I'm
yeah.
here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that, and if it's there's something that we've learned from every single trailer that Lucasfilm has given us, especially for animation, is that if they're showing us this much, it means that there's so much more that we're
Much
gonna
more.
get
Oh yeah.
from it.
Yes.
And like you said, it's 2 minutes of trailer that blew our collective minds away, and we could be
Mhm.
talking
Yeah.
about it for hours on end. But unfortunately, this is not
Bad
an episode
batch.
for Tales of the Empire, sadly. Here we're unfortunately going to talk about the Bad Batch and this duology of episodes.
It's a good
we
problem to
were
have.
Yeah,
we
it
were
is. It is. Yeah.
either blessed with or punished with, I guess, depending
I
on
think a
your
little bit of both.
point of view. These episodes definitely reminded me of Avengers Infinity War when Doctor Strange says, "We're in the end game now." And I
It feels
feel
like
that
it, yes.
this is definitely that turning point because we have, the first episode, which was very similar to the first episode in a way of this season, where it's just the quote unquote villain focused episode, even though
Mhm.
obviously there's a lot more nuance to that, and we'll get to it. Where it's
Yeah.
based on Tantis with I forgot her name. Please, someone remind me.
Emery.
Thank you.
Emery.
Names of me not friends. Uh, Emery focused episode on Tantus, so kind of see what's happening on that side of the equation for the season, and then obviously the second episode we're in Pabu with the Bad Batch and seeing what happened over there, and it's like how then we're gonna horseshoe and tie both of those stories together. So incredible episodes. Wow, what have you thought of Bad Batch so far, and how did these two episodes destroy you?
That's putting it lightly.
Right.
So I from the get-go, I really have enjoyed the Bad Batch. Yes, I could see how people think that some of the episodes that we received in like seasons 1 and seasons 2 were, slower or more fillery, but as a whole, I really think that like the Bad Batch show has been incredible. And this season has just taken it up a notch. Like I have been so impressed with different aspects of the show, from
Mhm,
the storytelling, the writing, the animation, the music. Like
Oh yeah.
like I just like can't believe like how lucky we are as Star Wars fans to be alive right now,
mhm, mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
because this is just like top tier Star Wars in my opinion. Like for me,
I agree.
Star Wars
Yeah.
animation is always going to reign supreme. And I feel like every single episode, even some of the ones that may not have been every fan's favorite, every single one of them has been so good, and it
Mhm,
felt like there's purpose in every single one of them. It has moved the story further along. Now, as for the last two episodes that we watched, like Goose, I couldn't agree with you more. I really do feel like the last two episodes have introduced us to the end game,
mhm,
but the Bad Batch version,
mhm.
Yeah.
because we not only learned a little bit more of what Project Necromancer is all about,
Hell yeah.
but
Yeah.
we got to see it through the perspective of Emery,
Mhm, mhm,
who,
mhm,
you know, in a way, if you think about it, is sort of like what Omega could have been like.
mhm,
And
Yeah.
we started seeing her crack a bit when she witnesses like what the
Yeah.
project, what a part of the project is, which is basically kidnapping, force sensitive kids.
mhm,
And for me, like if you guys aren't aware, I am a first time mommy,
mhm.
and
Mm.
watching the episode in particular was a bit
Oof.
triggering for me.
Yeah.
Thinking, yeah, thinking just
Understandable.
like someone ripping your baby out of your
Mhm,
arms, taking them who knows where. And yeah, and just like seeing what they were doing to the force sensitive kids was just, you know, it was upsetting to watch. But like, when we saw it through Emery's perspective, it just made it that much more impactful,
Yeah.
because now she's starting to get confused. She's like, wait, I
Yeah.
work for Hemlock. I work,
mhm,
for the Empire, but this isn't right. And it was so cool to like have that introduced to the story. And I'm just very curious to see how that carries on with the rest of her story in
mhm.
this final season of the Bad Batch. I don't think it's going to end well for her, but we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there.
Mhm. Yeah,
Eh,
and
and
then
Okay.
and yeah, go
Yeah. And
ahead.
then the
no, go
episode 2. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, oh my god, Pabu,
Yeah.
like, we all knew it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
coming.
Oh yeah.
Like, the last episode with, Asajj Ventress, like, when we
Mhm,
saw how cloudy the whole island looked, you just know that's just foreshadowing, that
Oh
the
yeah.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
Literally.
disaster's on its way. And, man, that episode for me, like, it was just so stressful to watch, because you
Mhm,
Yeah.
had no idea like, honestly, it kind of felt like, watching Infinity War, where everyone's battling, and you think that the good guys are going to win,
mhm,
but they lose. Like we
mhm, mhm,
actually
mhm.
lost. And not only did they capture Omega again, Crosshair
Yeah.
had a defeating
Right,
blow
right.
of
And
like not being
they all
able,
defeat they all lose at the thing
and
that they're
they're
good at.
right, and
It's like
okay.
Wrecker gets
Wrecker
taken
got
out by
blown
an
up.
explosion.
Yeah.
Oh, and he,
Hunter, you know,
I have to just say this. I don't understand why Star Wars is suddenly like going after ships. Like, why are we destroying every Star Wars ship that I that I love the most? Like, first we
mhm.
lost the Razor Crest and the
Yep.
Mandalorian,
Now
and now we
bye,
watch
Marauder.
the Marauder. I'm done. That was awful to watch. But yeah, like it's just it was so sad that now we don't. I really don't know where things could go from here. I have no
Yeah.
idea how the Bad Batch crew is going to find Omega because that was it. That was their chance. But I love how Omega at the end just felt at peace. Like she knows that her brothers are going to come rescue her,
Yeah.
and obviously she doesn't know what lies ahead. But I have a feeling that she's going to just fulfill her purpose of getting the clones, now the force sensitive kids, out
Yeah.
of Tantus. And how they're gonna do it, I don't know. Well, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, it was definitely like a roller coaster because I was not expecting. I mean, I knew Cat Bane was going to show up
Yeah.
because we saw him in the original trailer for season 3. So I was expecting my other boy in blue, to come back because this might be triggering for some people. But I think Cat Bane's a better bounty hunter than Django Fett. Sorry,
Just putting it out
You
there.
he's my favorite.
you
He's
might
my
not be
favorite.
wrong. I think that's
Django
Um,
Fett,
valid.
Django Fett got decapitated, by Mace Windu real quick, and Cad Bane broke into the Jedi Temple. That's all I'm gonna say about
He's
it.
still Yep.
So,
but and how awesome though was it the way that they introduced him that you just see his shadow and hear
and
the
the
spurs under
Spurs,
the
oh,
door.
so
Yeah,
good.
it's like it's Cat. Here
Well,
we
but
go.
that's the thing, though. The minute you see a force sensitive baby, you're like Cad Bane.
Yeah, Cat.
It's
Yeah.
because this is not his first, no pun intended, rodeo
Rodeo.
Mhm.
at kidnapping force sensitive children, and apparently that's kind of a staple with Star Wars at this point, right? Just like killing parents, it's also stealing force sensitive babies. They did
Yeah.
it in Clone Wars, did it in
Yes.
Rebels, so of
Yes.
course they have to do it in the Bad Batch. So it
Yeah.
was. I mean, okay, when I say it's nice to see, not because I want to see the kidnapping of force sensitive babies, but to have like that connective tissue of like this thing that's the Empire is still doing, and it permeates through
Even
Mhm.
like
though
all these
the Jedi
storylines.
kind of kidnapped force sensitive children too.
That is true.
Just saying.
That
We're
is
not gonna
true.
get into that moral gray area.
Yeah.
No, and
That is true.
honestly, like I don't know about you guys, but when we were being introduced to that vault, like the where the specimens were being
Yeah.
held,
Hmm, hmm.
I had no idea what they were going to show us, but I
Right.
was not expecting just kids,
Same. Same.
like
No, I
in
was
this like
expecting
mess
like
hall.
vats of like Palpatine clones or
Yeah.
something like that, or
Yeah.
I don't know. I definitely was not expecting to see like these kids like isolated and trying to like play at little tables. Like I was just like,
Like my jaw
what
was
just
on the
happened?
floor.
Yeah,
And I was like, so that's where we're going. That's the direction we're heading in. And then of course, like the way how they tied it with Cad Bane's storyline
Hmm.
makes
yeah,
sense. It like, of course, like how else are they getting these kids from bounty hunters like him? And gosh, it's just like crazy to like Emery went to a pickup of
Hmm.
one of
Hmm.
those force sensitive kids.
right,
And it wasn't
yeah,
just a force sensitive kid; it was a
Yeah.
baby, pretty much.
baby.
And
And even she was like so shocked. It's like, this kid is younger than I was
and
You
Cad Bane
know,
called her out.
But
She was
that's exactly what I was
yeah.
gonna say now.
expecting.
Because Cat Bane said something, and I had to write it down before recording because for me that was like my favorite line of the whole
Mhm.
episode. Because one, it sounds cool when Cat Bane says anything, but also because it had so much weight and
Yeah,
gravitas. She's asking a lot of background questions about the baby and where Cat Bane got it, and Cat Bane just answers by saying, "Asking questions like that, uh, give asking questions like that gives away more than you think." And I'm like, oh,
think, yeah.
damn. I'm just like, so good. And it's something that
It's a
we
mic
have been
drop.
talking, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
something that we have been theorizing for a while about Emery, right? It's like, is she gonna turn? Is she gonna join the batch? And I think at this point, when she gives us, yeah, I was gonna say Ahsoka, Omega's
Lula.
straw Lula to our prisoner child
which almost made
there,
me
it's just
cry.
like,
Oh my god.
it's like the what's the name of the episode again? Someone
What
remind me.
or Identity Crisis.
Identity
Identity
crisis.
crisis happens. Well, and the point of no return for her as well. So I think like all these episodes like have all this double meanings and whatnot. But Yeah, excellent episode. Nani, what did you think of Identity Crisis?
I was not expecting this, double gut punch. Honestly,
Hmm.
was coming from the high of getting to see Asajj Ventress back. I'd been waiting for Pablo to be destroyed in every single episode that we see it. So I'm like, oh, we don't get Pablo in this episode, so they're safe. Um, and then this just like really depressing episode happens, and
Hmm.
I mean, it makes so much sense, from the Empire's perspective, and the coldness of Hemlock. Like even when he's having the conversation with Moff Tarkin about how this is sensitive information. I don't have to tell you about anything. All you need
Yeah.
to give me is the money because I
Is
got
the
this.
money.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. I need allocation of funds because I have to pay bounty hunters to kidnap children. Um, and then there's this, continuing like modus operandi of the empire, which is like to take people's identity away,
Hmm.
and as soon as
Mm,
they're there, they are giving numbers again,
mm,
and you could see that like Nala Se was kind of doing her own little rebellion by
Hmm.
allowing them to
Hmm.
like keep
Hmm.
their names, to kind of like have relationships with them, and how when Emery first gets there, it's like she's trying to go by the book, but it surprises her like what the protocols kind of are, and
Hmm.
as she starts to meet some of the children, it's like something's iffy about this, and
mm.
I feel like that had started when she was like the guardian to Omega and to
Hmm.
see what the injustices were, but I think she wasn't really open to it just because Omega was a clone like her. So it's like, you're like me, you should be like me.
Right,
Like,
she's
what
not.
is this?
She's desensitized when she sees a clone because it's like, well, we're
It's a
all
clone, we're the
disposable.
same.
But when
Yeah,
she sees like like
these children, especially the
children, it's just
baby,
you see the
it's
actual
like,
thing that you're working towards. It's kind of
Mm,
like Oppenheimer and the bomb, or any
yeah.
other scientist
mm,
that does something and then discovers what their research is. Galen Erso, right, with his kyber research, and then with the Death Star
Yes.
lasers, just like
yeah,
you think you're doing one thing, and then all of a sudden
and
it's
then
revealed
suddenly, nope,
that what you're
nope.
using, what you're researching, is for the sinister things.
Oh,
It
yeah.
changes your whole moral compass to that extent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there was this like aesthetic to the vault, like the all white and like the viewing towers from
Hmm.
above and
Hmm.
everything. It was very Narkina 5 for me,
Yeah,
but then
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
children,
yeah.
which made it so much harder to watch. I was just like,
Yeah.
why? Why are you doing this to me?
Mm,
So, I mean, as soon as the episode ended, I was like, oh, okay. That's why they did a twofer, because they're going to give us some
Hmm.
hope in the next episode. And Hosbando
No,
was feeling like,
there's
they
no
better
hope.
give me some hope in the next one because I'm going to throw something at the TV. And then
Hope. I don't think there's gonna be any hope until the
no
last
hope.
episode.
hope dies.
Yes. Hey, no, no. We have to always remember General Leia's
Yeah.
quote from The Last Jedi. If you only
Yeah.
believe, hope is like the sun. If you only believe it when you see it, then you'll never make it through the night, uh,
Well, and I get it,
or
but
something like
man,
that.
that second episode, like right after, it's like, oh yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna be smiling by the end of this one. It's good. It's like, why Star Wars?
Mhm. But it's something interesting because I think when Emery was doing her self interview to take Nalase's position, girl boss, I'm gonna fucking do this, and without really
Yeah,
realizing the consequences of what she's doing.
yeah,
And she's going through like the laser doors, whatever,
yeah.
gates, whatever we're calling them. I'm not Star Wars explained. I don't know what they're called. But you expect to see what we saw last time we went through them with Hemlock and Nalase, which is like the cloning pod facility, all in
Yep.
dark with the red lights and all that stuff, and you're like, oh crap, are we gonna see like the Palpy clones finally? It's like, and then you get like a bait and switch. It's like, nope,
No,
you get like this white
children.
pristine room and it's children. And what I was thinking about that though is, well, one, the horror of that, and seeing that they're continuing those experiments with children, even though we should know that it's still happening because even in The Mandalorian, they still want to kidnap Grogu
Grogu.
Mhm,
Yeah,
to
mhm.
keep doing the same thing for Project Necromancer. Um, but it's interesting because now I'm thinking like, is there like two different things that are being experimented on here, which are branched off of the same thing, which is like getting the midichlorians and doing force sensitive clones. One is for Palpatine, but I think the other one that we have to kind of talk about a little bit are the CX clones, because we saw the
Yes,
oh
CX
yeah.
yes.
clone
Mhm.
that's hunting. I was say
Crosshair.
Barack. For some reason, I was saying Barack Obama for a reason. My mind is melting down. Uh, 2024 has been a roller coaster. Uh, hunting Hunter and Omega and like all these guys. But then we see Hemlock with the pad and with what looks like other CX troopers.
Mhm.
So like it's the
Or dark
question
troopers.
exactly. So it's the question is like,
Mhm.
what is he trying to do? They see because
Mhm.
CX. So it's like X is Roman numeral 10. I mean, the Bad Batch is 99. So it's like, is he trying to do like a force sensitive Bad Batch? I think that might be like the twist for the end of the series. Is the I always compare it to Scott Pilgrim versus the World when Scott Pilgrim has to fight Nega Scott. Is are we gonna get the Nega batch, and it's all just
Yes.
like CX troopers of the dark versions of all of them? Because I do
Mm.
think that the CX trooper that hunted them down on Pabu is Nega Crosshair. Or
Mm.
actually I think that they're like mixed
It might be like
brains of all the
that
batch.
terrible version of Deadpool, like they have all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Bad
yeah,
Batch
yeah.
powers, like
But good.
interconnected.
It's the
Yeah,
terrible
yeah,
version of
yeah,
Deadpool, but done well.
yeah, yeah,
Right, right.
So we'll see, well see. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like
And then you get this character who is like honing all the talents that Crosshair used to have, and the
yeah.
devastation of him missing that shot at the end,
Ooh,
which Omega
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
counting on. To it's okay, I trust you. You're gonna get the tracker on. It's great, and then we've talked about before how Crosshair was gonna have this like one moment when he's like gonna decide that they need him, and he's just gonna get over the
Yeah.
shakiness, and
You think?
suddenly
Yeah,
it's gonna
exactly.
work. And then me and Hosbando were yelling at the TV like he's gonna make it, he's gonna make it. And then whoa,
Won't.
oh
Not
crap,
even close. Not even.
not even
That's
close.
like he was as
Yeah.
close as I am when I try to throw a 3 pointer in a basketball court. That's how far he was
Yeah.
from
You
making
saw
that.
it just like
It was
dip down. It's like,
devastating.
oh man.
It
It
was
was
Oh.
devastating.
the only way
Oh
it
my
could have been
gosh.
even sadder was if they had put a sound effect like "ooh" something like that to just like make it
Wah
even more pathetic.
wah.
Exactly, exactly. Like "ooh," something like that,
I mean,
just to
that
ruin
was
it.
the final gut punch of that episode. After
Yes.
Oh,
that, like, it pretty much ended. And that was just, oh man, like the thing is, he if he wasn't ambushed by the clone troopers that were attacking
Mhm.
yeah.
him, or I can't remember if it was clone troopers commandos, but like he could have made it. Like there could have been a chance that at least
Mhm.
like maybe he would have gotten like a second chance. But man, that was just devastating, a devastating way to end that episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think one of the interesting things about like that episode too was the differences, right, in tones of both of them. Because the first one, I mean, there's obviously dialogue in this first one, but it very much could have just been a silent episode
Yeah.
Hmm.
because it's the conversation is very minimal and
Mhm.
methodical just to get the point across, but it's mostly the
Yeah.
the visuals and the music by the Kiners, Sean, Kevin, and
Yeah.
Deanna doing
They're
like
amazing.
amazing work as always, and it
Show
Hmm.
don't
gave,
tell.
gave
They're
a
great at
lot
it.
of
Hmm.
Blade Runner vibes with very 80s synth thriller
Yeah.
music,
Yeah.
which was great because it's very unlike than the music that we got on the next episode,
Mhm,
which is a
Yeah.
little
mhm.
more like action adventure music,
Yeah.
more of the type of things that we're kind of more
Yeah.
used to in Star Wars.
And good use of silence is so good because it usually makes people uncomfortable, and it
Hmm,
just
hmm,
gives you
hmm.
that mood of like that self, like the isolation that's happening with these kids. Like they're playing, but there's no play, there's no
Mm.
laughter, there's no nothing.
Right,
So
right.
that's why, even though both episodes were like super depressing, the other one is depressing in a different way because it is like
Yeah,
action
yeah.
packed, and there's like so much going on. Like it's like the first one's very sedate, even though it's still
Mhm.
gorgeous, it's very sedate. And then this one is like just like blowing things up everywhere, just fights everywhere, just like really in your face. But both of them work regardless of the difference in tone.
But
We haven't
exactly,
even
they work as a complement to each other because they're
Oh
both
yeah,
they both
yeah,
do the same thing, but in completely different ways. Where one is
right,
quiet and
yeah.
yeah,
and somber, the other one's bombastic and tragic.
No, and, like, what's traffic like, we didn't even talk about, like, the treasure room scene,
Hmm, hmm.
right before everything started going down, with, like, Omega leaving behind not only Lula, but Tech's goggles,
oh my
like,
god,
Yeah,
I
yep,
like, I
yep,
don't know.
Tech's dead, baby. Tech's dead.
Well,
Not coming
I don't know
back.
if obviously, like, maybe, like, the video, of watchers or what are seeing this, but, like, for the audio listeners, I'm wearing a Tech shirt. I am in the camp of, like, I believe Tech is alive
No,
somewhere. He
I'm
might
still
be
hoping it's somewhere. Glasses can fall off.
that's true.
like, it
As we would know. Yes.
Yes, I think he could be CX for all like, the
Oh
clone
my
trooper X for all I
god.
care. But, no, that was just so sad, like, to watch
Yeah.
Omega, like, how like, just the maturity in her
Right.
to, like, leave
Yes.
behind
Yes.
2 of these prized possessions of hers and of the Bad Batch crew, and I don't there's just gotta be some symbolism in that, to, like,
Oh yeah.
um, you know, leave behind your past and just moving forward, and obviously, like, what ended up happening was not what we wanted to see, but I feel like it had to happen
Hmm.
Yeah.
for Omega to, really fulfill, like, whatever destiny she was supposed to, be on, and man, that was just, like I wonder, like, if there was a reason why those items got left behind, because maybe, like, depending on, like, the fan theories that are going on about who is see the clone trooper X, right?
Yeah.
Like, is he going to see these items? Is that going to do something to him? Because, like, if we all believe that, maybe he's a mashup of, like, all the
Yeah.
maybe he's Crosshair, maybe he's Tech, maybe he's everybody.
Hmm.
Is it
Hmm.
gonna is it gonna
That's a
impact
good point.
affect
Yeah.
him? I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like,
Trigger
Dave.
something in the yeah.
Yeah, the Star Wars writers, they like to, like, leave little, a
Crumbs.
trail
Yeah.
for crumbles for us to
Oh
follow
yeah.
along, and who knows, maybe there was a reason for that, so who knows?
It's interesting because I
Yeah.
think one of the devastating things about how the Empire attacked Pabu wasn't that because they could have done a Camino, right? Where
Mhm.
the
Just
Venators just
blow
show
everything
up
Mhm.
up.
and then just do a bombardment and just destroy
Mhm.
Pabu, and that would have been horrifying as well. But I think it was kind of more terrifying in a way that they just showed restraint and just be
Yes.
like, we're gonna attack the things that make you a society. It's like you're a
Mm.
seafaring people. This is your economy. We're just gonna destroy all your boats and destroy those
Yeah.
things that are the most important to you,
Yes.
and then just like occupy you. And this place of peace is now going to be a surveillance state all of a sudden.
Just
And
evil.
and it's just
So
like
evil.
to me like that was even more harrowing than if they
Mm.
had
Yeah.
been killing everybody left and right because
Yeah.
it's just like it's fascism, right? It's the oppressive state that's always watching you and always,
Yeah.
doesn't let you out of their sight. And there's something to me that's much more intimidating about that than just like coming
Yeah.
in and bang, 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 and just killing everybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's just because death is momentary, but fear and oppression is constant.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
and isn't that
And
part of it though?
manipulative.
Because yeah, that's what they want though. They don't want to continue to perpetuate war because war is costly and war costs lives that you could
Mm-hmm.
otherwise turn into your slaves, basically. And that's what the empire does, depending on what planet they conquer, they turn it towards their profits. And it's like, I don't want to destroy you, completely. I just want to make you subservient to me and loyal to me. And then I can use your planet in whatever way I feel is more productive to the empire,
Hmm.
which is just so crushing and just absolutely destructive, especially to a planet like this is on the outer rim and has found a way to be completely independent and sustain themselves and
Mhm.
create their own culture and their own identity, and then screw that.
Hmm.
And that's why I also think that Omega felt so secure with her decision is because she wasn't going to let the planet sacrifice itself for her. So
Mm.
I think it's so mature for this child to be like, I'm decided to be taken because there's no way I'm going to let these people die for me.
And that's something that I wanted to ask everyone about because one thing that we have seen since season one is Omega getting captured and having to be rescued by the Batch. And end of season two, obviously she gets captured and sent to Tantus. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
the prevailing theory among a lot of us, including myself, was that at least half of the season would be the breakout of her having the Batch breaking her out of Tantus.
Mhm.
But good writing on the Bad Batch story team to be like,
Hmm.
actually, no, she's gonna rescue herself, and
Mm.
she
Hmm.
and Crosser just escape immediately, which I thought was
Yeah.
really clever. It's like, okay, we're done with that, so now the show can go anywhere. So
Hmm.
in my mind, I was like, well, if they already did that, that means that she's not gonna get kidnapped again
She's safe.
because that's
She's not.
that's for lack of a better word, derivative, right? We've already seen it. She's already like shown that she's mature as a character and can take care of herself and rescue herself. So in a way, when they she offered to be taken, I was just like, she's getting
Mm,
kidnapped again, and
Again.
we've already seen this so again. So now they have to rescue. So, but in a way, it's different from all the other times because every other time that she's taken, she is an unwilling
Yeah.
kidnappee, and now she
mhm,
is a willing one, which is
mhm,
obviously like a character inversion, but it's still, well, now we have to rescue Omega type of thing. So, what did Paul? Let's start with you. How did you guys react to that plot twist? Not twist, but that plot development in this episode of having Omega being kidnapped and returned to Tantus.
mm. I mean, I think I felt the way Crosshair was feeling in that moment. Like he could not disagree. Like he just did not want
Yeah.
Omega to make that choice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders maybe he felt that way because he felt like he would fail his brothers for not protecting Omega. But
Right.
at the Omega has gone through so much with her brothers, with her own individual journey, and like this just shows like the growth that she has done has made from like the very first episode we had with her, where she was like fully dependent on the Bad Batch
Yeah.
crew,
Mhm.
to this point where she can take care of herself. Like that's something that we've just seen time and time again throughout this season in particular. When she gave herself up, I did not want that to happen, if I'm
Oh
being
yeah.
honest, because I mean, I know that nothing's going to happen to her because the Empire needs her alive. As far as we know, like
Yeah.
they need her
Yeah.
alive to do
So
whatever
far.
they need to do
Hmm.
with her. And she could use that to her leverage, obviously.
Hmm.
But I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like we're how like I don't know how else we were gonna get to Tantus. I mean, that's what she told Crosshair. It's like we
Mhm.
need to
Yeah.
get like those coordinates. I can get those coordinates to you guys if they capture me. And so, I don't think there was any other way. The thing is, now that she's going back to Tantus, I don't know, you know, like I don't think to have the same levels of freedom. Like I don't even know if you can use that word freedom, but like they're
Yeah.
probably going to keep her in isolation. She's probably not going to have as much responsibilities as before. She's probably going to become a subject um
Yeah.
like the or specimen like the other kids are. And gosh, I just like hope that it doesn't take until like
Too
episode
long.
15
Yeah.
for us to figure out what happens to her. Like
Yeah.
the thing is, I'm just very curious to see how the Bad Batch figures out how to find her at Tantus.
Mhm.
Or is Omega going to, basically save herself again? Like, I don't know. Like, if she
Yeah.
could do it once, she could do it again.
I
Definitely.
think that she prepared for this eventuality. I think that she
Hmm.
knew that Prosser wasn't ready to take the shot, and she has some way to handle it. But Nani, what do you think about Omega's kidnapping?
Yeah. So, piggybacking a little bit on what Pao said about how Omega has demonstrated that she has become way more independent and can take care of herself, especially this season. Specifically, Crosshair has been very respectful of that. Like when some of the other ones try to be overprotective, Crosshair is the one that's
Mm,
like, she can do this, she's fine. So I think
yep.
it was probably very conflicting, that decision between respecting her wishes and letting down his brothers and himself, because he himself didn't want to let her have to be in danger, because last time at least he was there too in captivity. Now she's all on her own, and now they know what she's worth, because before obviously they would let her have her job and move around and everything because they didn't actually know that she was what they were looking for. She was just
Mm,
leverage to get Nala say to cooperate,
mm-hmm.
but
Mhm.
now it's a completely different situation. um so I hope that while she was able to move around, she set some little traps around in the facility, like ways for her to like hide some comms somewhere. I don't know,
Yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah.
resourceful. So I'm hoping that the, I don't know, that there's that she'll have contingency plan, when she gets
Oh,
there.
Emery could be the key.
Oh,
I
yeah,
I think that
True,
100%. Yes.
true,
I think that's
definitely.
what we didn't
She's
have before.
she's
Now we
gonna be
have
the new
Emery.
tech. Come on, she already has the
The
goggles.
glasses, I know.
She's a nerd. Come on, she's the new
And
tech.
then that would make sense why you dedicate a whole episode to not just what the Empire's been doing in the vault, but to this character development that we're getting from Emery, because it wouldn't make sense if suddenly she switched sides. I mean, you need
Mhm.
this background of her having doubts about what's happening and if she's okay with it or not. And then getting Omega back now with the new perspective, I think she would be way more open to new suggestions. I think here is where we're gonna start to see a big effort, because I feel like the boys, to protect Omega, were kind of hiding from the world in Pabu, and now they're just gonna be like, no, now we have to actually get moving and start using those connections that they've made throughout the first 2 seasons to start getting intel programs going, because clearly they're not the only ones interested in saving these force sensitive children, because we already know that the path is happening and there's probable Asajj Ventress involvement and all these things. So I think that's where like the networking is gonna come in, and I think we're gonna see Omega trying to like change things from the inside, which makes a lot of sense because she's always wanted to save her other brother and sister clones, and she didn't really want to escape originally because she felt like her job wasn't done yet. So
Yes.
giving her kind of a chance to work it out for herself from the inside is not necessarily the worst idea. Even though when it first happened, my gut reaction was, again, why must we continue to kidnap our characters? Like, I am over it. But, with a day to sit on it, I feel like it opens up really cool storytelling opportunities, and they haven't let me down yet in Bad Batch this season. So I'm going to remain hopeful that even though they kicked my ass this week,
you can't have a high
good things are coming.
if you don't have a low.
We still have 4 episodes. A lot can happen in 4 episodes.
We have 4 episodes. I think the next 3 are going to be absolutely horrible, and not in a quality kind of way, just in a like emotional kind of way.
Like,
and
boom.
then the last one, and then the last one is going to be, a catharsis.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, we could obviously be discussing these 2 episodes ad nauseum because there's so much to discuss. But we don't have time for all of it. So let's just go into, and we were kind of there already now, and a little bit of the responsible speculation part. I think I already dropped a little a little theory that I've mentioned before, where I think Emery's gonna officially defect and become the new tech. But yeah, where does everybody's now that we're, to quote Doctor Strange again, now that we're in the end game, where does everyone see this going? What are everyone's predictions moving forward to the final episode, which is called "The Cavalry Has Arrived," which sounds like a uplifting title, which I think is the first thing. Which is the first thing I think that Wrecker says in the Clone Wars when the Bad Batch is first introduced. The Cavalry Has Arrived. So it's a fitting title. So, Pao, let's start with you. What are your theories moving forward with the season? What do you hope to see, and what do you think we're gonna see?
I mean, what I think we're going to see is obviously, Omega and Emery possibly teaming up to not only help the clones escape, but also the force sensitive kids. Because I think Omega doesn't know about that yet. The Bad Batch crew doesn't know about that yet. They think it's still just the clones. They don't know what else is in there. So I think we're definitely going to see something develop there. What I hope to see is, we're all dying to know who is the CX, clone trooper. Like, who is he? And I hope that we don't have to wait until the final episode to figure out what or who he is. I like, it's so funny because like, I am in the camp that it's tech. Like, I feel like it's some sort of mutation of tech. While my husband, he thinks it's crosshair. Like, I feel like everyone has like, I think it's this thing, this clone. I think it's that clone. And I like, it would be insane if it like, if the writers of Bad Batch just like completely blow our minds, and it's none of
something
that.
completely different.
It's Marok from.
Yeah, well, oh gosh.
Which we know it's not, because he's in Tales of the Empire. But
I mean, the thing is, it's like, it's like these are like the obvious choices, and are they going to take the obvious route? I don't know. Like, I
mean,
hope that
if there's something that Lucasfilm always does with these things, every time we think a character is someone, it's usually just a new person.
Exactly.
It's just like, all the theories are wrong. Oh.
Right. Well, whatever is your headcanon ends up not becoming true.
Exactly.
No, yeah.
Watch it not even be a clone at all.
Right.
We don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's like, the episode where the Bad Batch was with Captain Rex, and they were interrogating that other CX trooper, and he was really attacking Crosshair, like very,
Yeah.
like he was very hard on him. So like that started creating doubts in my mind. I'm like, okay, maybe it isn't Tech, maybe it's like a clone of Crosshair. But anyways, like I hope we get that answer soon. And then lastly, like I just really like Nani, you were kind of talking about it a little bit about the path. Like how like I just
Yeah.
hope that we just saw Asajj Ventress last week.
Hmm.
I
Yes.
really hope that was not the last time we see her in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Like, I
I'm
think
hoping
there's
too.
hope that we could see her again and maybe she could be a part of the cavalry, or at
Yeah.
least
Hmm.
like, the Bad Batch is going to have to call in some sort of reinforcement to take
Yeah.
these force
Yeah.
sensitive kids away. And I think Asajj Ventress was possibly brought back to the story because she has a sort of connection with the path, maybe
Yeah.
through Quinlan Voss. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
That's in my head canon, and that's what I
Oh yeah.
really, really hope we get to see. But, I'm trying to keep my expectations
Expectations.
realistic because we all know as Star Wars fans, like how our expectations can be crumbled.
Dashed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so yeah, that's what I hope to see. With 4 episodes left, anything can happen.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of that. But Nani,
Hmm.
what do you
Yeah.
think
And this
before
is
I
the
get into
last double
my
whammy
my
that we
crazy
get, right?
theories?
Yep.
Yeah. All the other ones are released independently, which I was kind of surprised. Thought
I
the
thought the last
finale
one
might
would
have
be a
been like,
double. Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Maybe the last one might be a long episode, like the
longer.
very
I
first
hope so.
season. In the
Yeah.
first season, the first episode was like a movie. Maybe the
Yeah.
last episode would
So
be like that.
I hope so.
I'd be
That would be
okay with that.
fitting. That would be fitting to end
Yeah, because
something
it's
like
the
that
end.
with a longer
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
But Nani, what are your theories now?
Yeah. So the problem right now is that we don't know who's really gonna make it. When
Mm.
Wrecker got blown up, I was like, "You killed Wrecker. I am done.
Wrecker's safe. He's safe.
I'm done,
I was
done." So
holding my breath.
every time they engage in combat, I'm like, "Yeah, break my heart. Who's next? Who's coming?" Except for Hunter, because Goose and me kind of are over Hunter.
Oh yeah, Hunter. He can go.
We're
Yeah.
terrible.
Mm.
Even though finally this season they're starting to remember that Hunter is a hunter, and
Yep.
he
Yeah,
can
but every time
actually
he
have.
hunts, he fails. So I'm just
But
saying.
true. So yeah, it's fine. So yeah, so I just want to see how all these other characters that they've been kind of sprinkling through the
Hmm.
season that are already friends or not, but that they're all like interconnected, how they start to kind of come into what is this last season and what they come in with and
Mm.
what they plan to help with. Because at first it was just kind of a clone problem, but now with the force sensitive children, now it becomes an issue of
Hmm.
the path
Mhm.
and whoever still left out there that wants to protect these children. Um, and a little bit of an issue between like the burgeoning rebellion and the empire and all these
Mm.
things. So I think it's going to be really interesting how kind of all of this comes together. And I keep saying it every single time because I hope that the more that I say it, the more that it comes true. I want Boba Fett to show up.
Yes.
So do I, but I think that as I
At this
mean,
point,
there's
with
still
four
time.
episodes left, but yeah.
There's still time, but I
But I'm
think
still gonna
that
wish for it until the very last one.
I mean,
same.
it would
I
be
feel like
so perfect to
Boba
bring him
and
into
Omega should
this.
meet. Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
man.
It's interesting because I have a couple things that I
Okay.
wanted to
Go.
talk about because and a lot of I think like I'm on board with a lot of the things that everyone has said, but one I wanted to start with we saw today Fijinoa because wait, did I say her name right? Fee.
Fee.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Names are bad for me. But we saw her, but there's one person that we haven't seen this season, and that's Sid.
Sid.
Even though
Nah.
she got a name drop by the
Mhm.
CX Trooper today, and
The
I
Trandoshan.
think that there's still something to do with her because
Well,
I
and
like
it seems like they got the information through torture.
ex-
I don't
That's
know.
kind
nefarious
of like
means
it sounded like I'm still pissed at her because she traitor.
I'm mad at
But
her
well, yes,
because this would be
definitely.
the second time that she threw them under the bus.
But I think that there is a redemption there that she
Mm.
needs to atone and be like, "Hey, I messed up. I did
four
this. So
episodes is not enough for a
let me
redemption arc.
let me."
Sorry.
No, but I mean, she doesn't need to have one as good as
I-
Crosshairs. But she's just like, "Okay, I'll help out because I messed up." Blah blah blah. And
Oh, she messed
Fee.
up bad.
So
Mhm.
oh yeah.
I think that maybe there's something where they need to get her because she has the final piece of information to find Tantus somehow. Because it feels weird to me that after having her be like a main stay character for
Yeah.
like all of season 2. All of a sudden she's like, oh, we just dropped that and we're not gonna address the fallout
Follow up. Yeah.
Mhm.
of her betrayal to the batch. So I'm not counting on it, but I think that there's something to it. Uh,
Mhm.
but then my other theory now is just like it's gonna be a war on two fronts, where I was gonna say Ahsoka again. Damn it! Where Omega is in Tantus doing her rebelling from the
Hmm.
inside, trying to get Emery on her side, and the Bat Batch are coming from the outside. I think that one character that I think will absolutely come back is Wolf, because
Oh,
after
Oh
Wolf
yeah.
yeah.
after Wolf kind of lets them go, I don't think that Hemlock is going to be too happy about that. So in a way, I
Yeah.
think Wolf is going to be in the same position that Crosshair was.
Or
He
Commander Cody? I mean, we still haven't
exact
seen
Yeah.
him
yes,
yet.
yes, yes. I think Wolf is more likely, but I
Yes.
but I
Mhm.
think Cody might also be involved.
I'm okay with getting all of
Please.
them.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm always good with
Everyone.
and
Rex.
we
Get
and
me
we get
Cody,
and we get a
Wolf.
big old
Yeah.
Hauser.
clone rebellion from
Yes.
the inside, and then a clone breakout from the outside. And it's all the clones, happy family, a reunion at the end. But
Nothing
then
where nothing bad happens to them.
where nothing bad happens to anybody. I think the only person that's absolutely
I
gonna
think that's
die
a
is
lot to
Nala
ask.
Se. Nala Se is dead. She's gonna die,
I'll say
Mm,
like
that.
in the last episode
yep.
somehow. But I agree that there's gonna
She'll probably
be
sacrifice herself for Omega.
yeah, yeah. She's gonna jump in front of a blaster bolt or something. Uh,
Like the
yeah, like
like
oh,
because she's so slow.
yeah, 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 yeah. I felt so bad seeing her sitting down, like all her like super long limbs and like her knees
Like
are up to
very
her face.
awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a Mandalorian style ending where they're gonna do an Avengers Assembled moment. They're
Mm,
gonna get
mhm.
Yeah.
Fennec, they're gonna get Asajj, they're gonna get Rex, they're gonna get Echo, and they're all gonna break them out. But then Omega's gonna do the same thing from the inside, and it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be
And
like
that's
Andor,
yeah, it's gonna
like
be
the
great.
prison breakout. Like, come on.
Hopefully everybody
Andy
can see.
Serkis is gonna be
I,
there
I was
too.
gonna say that.
Uh, on program. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be great.
One way out. One way out.
And I am absolutely confident that everything we're saying here is going to happen. I'm
We are
calling it.
just sending it out into the universe.
Yes, it's gonna
And
happen.
Lucasfilm would listen to us.
And
Yes,
then they'll
thank
be
you.
like, "Damn, those guys, they know. Come on, work for us.
Yes.
We wanna pay you." Anyway, whatever. I'm going too crazy now. But this has been like so much fun speculating about all these things, talking about this episode, thinking about what's going to happen in the future. Like I said, with the review portion, we could go on forever, and with the speculation, we can go on even farther. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we don't have all that time. There has to be a bedtime for us because there's work tomorrow. But before we sign off, Pao, thank you again so much for joining us. Before we wrap this up, what projects have you got going on? What is there things that people should be aware of that you're doing? Tell everyone where to find you. Why don't you share all the fun stuff that you're up to?
If any of your followers are interested in, collecting Star Wars collectibles like, Funko Pops, books, figurines, Lego. I started getting into Lego. That's what I mainly post about. But right now, like what I'm focusing on as like a project is my Star Wars room makeover series is what I've
Hmm.
been calling it. And actually, if you are watching on YouTube, you're getting a bit of a sneak peek of what I've been working on. I haven't really posted this anywhere just yet. And so that's something I've been really excited to document along the way. And I hope to maybe do like the official reveal maybe on May the 4th. It's
Hmm.
unofficial, but
For
I think
Tales
that
of
would
the
be,
Empire.
yeah. I mean, I just feel like, there's so much excitement going on May the 4th, and hey, why not just like, you know, join
Add to
into
it.
yeah, add to the
Yeah.
pile of
Yeah.
content overload with like, hey, here's a room tour of everything I've been working on. But yeah,
Looks awesome already, by the way.
oh,
Hmm.
thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's pretty much like for me. Since like mentioned earlier, I'm a first time mom, so I try to make time for posting on my socials. But when I don't, just trust that it's I'm putting my attention in where it matters. But honestly,
Yeah.
it's such a fun escape for me to post on my fandom account, the Padalorian,
Mhm.
and just build this community that we got going on. And yeah, and then I'm just also excited to like here in my hometown, like the convention season is going to be
Mhm.
starting
Mhm.
around the summer. So I'm excited to go to a few conventions, one of them or two of them being my first Lego conventions. And so
Very
it's
fun.
yeah, it's like a new area of fandom that I am still new to, but I'm excited to learn more about it and engage with it
Yeah.
even more. So yeah, that's what I got going on.
That's
Perfect.
awesome.
And
Yeah.
we'll, as usual, we'll leave links down in the description so that everyone can have an easier time finding you. But definitely go find and support another Puerto Rican content creator because we have to support each other, and
Yes.
you're doing amazing work. So everyone should definitely go and check out your work because it's a lot of fun. It's one of those. Joyful accounts where you can see like that you love what you're doing, and it's infectious. It's always nice
Oh,
to see
thank you.
people having fun because then you're having fun seeing them have fun, and then you have fun at the same time. So
Yes.
we're here to
That's the goal.
to support each other, grow together, and have fun while we're doing it. So thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you guys for having me. Seriously, means the
Definitely.
world.
It was such a fun conversation. Thank you again so much
Oh
for
yeah.
joining us in this like very hard to talk about 2 episodes because as amazing as they were, oh my god, why does Star
Mhm.
Wars hate us? So yeah, so a couple of depressing episodes that were regardless like deep and kind of beautiful in their own way. So remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment. We are Triad of the Force. Let us know what you're thinking of the Bad Batch, what you think of the upcoming series, The Acolyte and Tales of the Empire, Star Wars Going Dark, all these
Thank God Star
amazing
Wars
things
dead.
that are
Yeah,
coming our way. Yeah, because Star Wars is that. Oh, and it's not for women either.
it's
Did you
not.
know?
No.
Mm.
Right?
Okay.
Thank you. Anything. Thank you again, Pao. Everybody, remember to check out all her details because she's awesome. And until next time, we are Triad of the Force. May the Force be with you.